Hi guys, how's it going? Hope everything is going well with you. I'm still presenting my book to argue logically or with heart, mind and belief. The book is in Amazon.com. You look me up as Dr. Saida Seddik. There you find all my books. I was about to read here in the chapter UN Human Rights. When we talk about UN human rights, we refer to the human rights. Sometimes people use this word as expression to refer to the rights listed in Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a declaration signed by 48 countries in 1948 and has since been signed by many other countries. At the other times, the expression is used to refer to the aggregate of rights we recognize of all people, whether or not this much Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, stands as a milestone in the history of human rights. Drafted by representatives with different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world, the declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on 10 December 1948. General Assembly Resolution 217. As a common standard of achievement for all people and all nations, it sets out for the first time fundamental human rights to be universally protected. So moving away from the Second World War, it is possible to see that historical review of the brutalities of the 20th century is still very sparse, partially because interested parties do not want them to surface. The case of the genocide of the Armenian people and the opposition of Turkish nationalism to its recognition is an example of the struggle for truth and historical awareness. The exploration of the history of infamy of last century should also include incidents that happened after the proclamation of the Universal Declaration, among them the genocides of Cambodia, Rwanda, and Bosnia. Moreover, when China is rising as a world superpower, we should not turn away from the claims made by dissidents about the killing of around 80 million by the Maoists over the 60 years they have remained in government. Such events do not only constitute breaches to the declaration, but they should also be part of the historical background that now gives sense and orientation to its letter. Modernity was constituted not only by the hallmarks of the rise of modern civilization, as in the cases of the Renaissance, the Reformation, the Industrial Revolution, and the Enlightenment. Modernity has also a destructive and genocidal side because the conquest of America and the colonization of the Third World are also essential to its formation. The crisis of modernity is not to be found only at its end, but also at its very beginning, as modernity was born already in crisis. If this conclusion is reasonable, surely a fairer and more inclusive understanding of the Universal Declaration as a response to the crisis of modernity should lead us to frame the Declaration as a response to conquest and colonialism too. Recognition of the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family forms the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. However, disregard and contempt for human rights have still resulted in numerous barbarous acts that outrage the conscience of humankind. Nevertheless, because of the Declaration, we can envision a world in which humans enjoy freedom of speech and beliefs, and where freedom from fear and deprivation has been proclaimed as the highest aspiration of the common people. For people not to feel compelled to rebel against tyranny and oppression, their human rights need to be protected by the rule of law. Promoting the development of friendly relations between nations must be a top priority. United Nations Charter reaffirms people's faith in fundamental human rights, in the dignity and worth of the human person, and in the equal rights of all men and women. The Charter promotes social progress through freedom and better standards of life. Signatory states of the Charter, in cooperation with the United Nations, have pledged to respect and observe universal human rights and fundamental freedoms. The full realization of this pledge requires common understanding of and respect for these rights and freedoms as a top priority. Recognizing this, the General Assembly proclaims this universal Declaration of Human Rights as a common standard for all people and all nations. Based on the Declaration, every individual and every organ of society must strive to promote these rights and freedoms through education and progressive measures nationally and internationally. Collectively, we all need to secure their universal and effective recognition and observance, both among the people of member states and the people of territories under their jurisdiction. Unfortunately, the rights written down in an international charters remain dead letters in a world where the meaning of words change from one side to the other, one country to another, one ego to another, from you and me to the other. People need to embody the essence of the Charter by taking the time to understand what it says and be open to insights that might arise when reading the articles of the Charter. With this in mind, I will summarize below the main points of the Charter. They all call for right to life, yet millions of people die every day without mercy, especially women and children. They have meaning of words as philosopher Merleau-Ponty, French philosopher Merleau-Ponty puts it, leads us to wonder if the right to live has the same meaning under skies as different as those over Bangladesh and Sweden. Speaking of the right to leisure, in a world forgotten by modernity, or rather plundered by modernity, can sound like an insult. If the Universal Declaration of Human Rights remains little more than a high-sounding legal document that does not inspire people to enact its ideals, it would be little more than a sweet and fluffy daydream. Words alone will not stop the momentum of real politics. High-sounding declaration, no matter how well-intended, risk becoming the new opiate of the masses. The Declaration enshrines the universal right to education, yet according to a study conducted in April 2016 by the U.S. Department of Education and the National Institute of Literacy, 32 million adults in the U.S. can't read. That is 13% of the population. 21% of adults in the U.S. read below a 5th grade level, and 19% of high school graduates can't read. 2003, 14% of American adults demonstrated a below basic literacy level, and 29% exhibited a basic reading level. According to the Department of Justice, the link between academic failure and delinquency, violence, and crime is welded to reading failure. Moreover, 85% of all juveniles who interface with the juvenile court system are functionally illiterate, and more than 70% of inmates in U.S. prisons cannot read above a 4th grade level. To be fully literate in today's complex society, a person must be able to read, write, do math, and use a computer. Without these skills, fluid navigation through society and upward social movement are challenging, to say the least. Worldwide, 775 million adults, approximately 12% of the world's population, are considered functionally illiterate, with only basic or below basic literacy level in their native languages, without the ability to effectively use the written and digital information in the world around them. These individuals are unable to help themselves, their families, and those around them. With this statistic in mind, let us now review the key points of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is composed from 30 articles. Article 1. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and with rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act toward one another in a spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinions, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional, or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether it is independent, no self-government, or under any other limitation of sovereignty. Article 3. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Article 4. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. Article 5. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Article 6. Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law. Article 7. All are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to equal protection of the law. All are entitled to equal protection against any discrimination in violation of this declaration and against any incitement to such discrimination. Article 8. Everyone has the right to an effective remedy by the competent national tribunals for acts violating the fundamental right granted him by the Constitution or by law. Article 9. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary arrest, detention, or exile. Article 10. Everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations and of any criminal charge against him. Article 11. Everyone charged with a penal offense has the right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty, according to law, in a public trial at which he has had all the guarantees necessary for his defense. No one shall be held guilty of any penal offense on account of any act or omission which did not constitute a penal offense under national or international law at the time when it was committed, nor shall a heavier penalty be imposed than the one that was applicable at the time the penal offense was committed. Article 12. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondence, or to attacks upon his honor and reputation. Everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks. Article 13. Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. Everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to return to his country. This right may not be invoked in the case of prosecutions, calumny arising from non-political crimes or from acts contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Article 14. Everyone has the right to seek and to enjoy in order other countries asylum from persecution. Article 15. Everyone has the right to nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality, nor denied the right to change his nationality. Article 16. Men and women of all age, without any limitation due to race, nationality, or religion, have the right to marry and to found a family. They are entitled to equal right as to marriage, during marriage, and at its dissolution. Marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of the intending spouses. The family is the natural and fundamental group unit of society and is entitled to protection by society and the state. Article 17. Everyone has the right to own property alone as well as in association with others. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his property. Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change her religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in a community, with others and in public or private, to manifest her religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Article 20. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. No one may be compelled to belong to an association. Article 21. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of her country, directly or through freely chosen representatives. Everyone has the right to equal access to public service in his country. The will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of government. This shall be expressed in periodic and genuine elections, which shall be by universal and equal suffrage, and shall be held by secret vote or by equivalent free voting procedures. Article 22. Everyone as a member of society has the right to social security and is entitled to realization through national efforts and international cooperation, and in accordance with the organization and resources of each state, of the economic, social, and cultural rights indispensable for her dignity and the free development of her personality. Article 23. Everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and a favored condition of work, and to protection against unemployment. Everyone without any discrimination has a right to equal pay for equal work. Everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, ensuring for himself and his family an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented, if necessary, by other means of social protection. Everyone has the right to form and to join trade unions for the protection of his interests. Motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protection. Article 24. Everyone has the right to rest and leisure, including reasonable limitation of working hours and periodic holidays with pay. Article 25. Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself, herself, and of her family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond her control. Article 26. Everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. Elementary education shall be compulsory. Technical and professional education shall be made generally available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It shall promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among all nations, racial or religious groups, and shall further the activities of the United Nations for the maintenance of peace. Parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education that shall be given to their children. Article 27. Everyone has the right freely to participate in the cultural life of the community, to enjoy the arts, and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits. Everyone has a right to the protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which he is the author. Article 28. Everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration can be fully realizable. Article 29. Everyone has duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of his personality is possible. In the exercise of her rights and freedoms, everyone shall be subject only to such limitations as are determined by law solely for the purpose of securing due recognition and respect for the rights and freedoms of others and of meeting the just requirement of morality, public order, and the general welfare in democratic society. These rights and freedoms may in no case be exercised contrary to the purposes and principles of the United Nations. Article 30. Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as implying for any state, group, or person any right to engage in any activity or to perform any act aimed at the destruction of any of the rights and freedoms set forth herein. Imagine a world that truly honored and enacted these rights. That dream remains possible, but only if people of good conscience take responsibility for them consistently and with integrity. At the top of the list of human rights, we find the right to right themselves. Next, the right, freedom, and dignity, followed by the right to life. These basic human rights become meaningless in the context of major environmental and climate changes if world leaders and their people do not acknowledge a similar set of environmental rights, right of nature, then all human rights will be compromised and eventually negated. We need climate justice, the primordial right to benefit from clean air and water, without which life would be impossible. Many countries and several international human rights organizations consider the right to life the chief human right. Nevertheless, many countries deny the right to life. For example, in 2016, Indonesia, Kuwait, Nigeria, and Vietnam have all resumed executions. Although it is generally accepted that China executes more citizens per year than the world average, the actual number is unknown because executions are considered state secrets. The United States remains the only country within the Americas that still uses the death penalty. Despite the increases in executions in certain countries, the global community has been turning toward the abolition of state-run executions. Human rights should be guaranteed to every person on the planet. Yet many countries continue to severely restrict the human rights of their citizens. One glaring example, the recruitment and exploitation of child soldiers in several African countries. At the time of writing, 3 ongoing conflicts in Africa were using child soldiers in the Central African Republic, South Sudan, and Syria. UNICEF has estimated the number of child soldiers active in South Sudan, for example, to be around 9,000. Officials in the country have observed children younger than 15 years of age engaged in military training, wearing uniforms, and carrying weapons. I stop here and I come to the end of this chapter, and I say see you and enjoy your day. I hope you could get in touch with this book by going to Amazon.com and look me up as Dr. Saida Seddik. Thank you.